Greetings from the Transit Authority of Northern Kentucky. This is Andrew Aiello, the General Manager at Tank. We have some very important information that we want to share with you. The Tank Board of Directors is currently considering a fare increase to some of the services that we provide. We want to make sure that you're well informed as to what the proposal is. Over the next 5 or 6 minutes, we have a video demonstration and a presentation that shows you the details of the proposed fare increase. Please take the time to review it carefully, make sure that you understand the fare increase, and at the end of the presentation, we have some opportunities for you to contact us and provide your feedback. Thank you for your time.
This timeline shows that staff did indeed begin the fare analysis in July. We brought our preliminary recommendations to the board in September. Our intent would be to bring this information out for public comment at the end of September. October would be the month in which the board would take formal action to approve any form of fare increase. If everything is implemented in a proper manner, we would have a fare increase implemented on the street sometime in January of 2012. As you can see, the staff developed 5 goals for this fare analysis. Obviously, an increase in revenue. The second piece is to limit the ridership impact associated with that increase in revenue. The third piece is to comply with Title VI of the Civil Rights Act, which tells us that we need not have a disproportionate impact on low-income or minority communities. And the fourth and fifth pieces are to improve our transfer process and to simplify the fare structure. As part of our analysis, we conducted a review of peer transit systems. The transit systems that we reviewed are similar size systems in a similar part of the country. A brief summary of the analysis shows that Tank's local fare is in line with our peers. Tank's express, ramp, and transfer fares are lower than our peers, and Tank's Southbank Shuttle fare is actually higher than our peers. Let's start with local bus service. As you can see in the peer analysis, Tank's local fare matches the peer median of $1.50. What we know about local bus service is that the bulk of Tank passengers use local bus service. It's about 73% of all fixed route ridership. Also, we know that most low-income and minority census blocks in northern Kentucky are served by local bus service. So what we know is that any change in local bus fare would significantly impact ridership and those that most need the service during this economic downturn. With all those considerations in mind, the recommendation at this point is to make no changes to the local base fare or the local monthly pass fare. Moving on to express bus service, we see that there is a difference between Tank's $1.75 express fare and the peer median of $2.10. What we do know about express service is that it is a premium service. The express service provides much faster service in terms of miles per hour and traditionally provides the longest trips in the Tank system. In the discussions with the fiscal courts over the past few months, there was definitely some interest in the folks who are using park and rides paying more for this service. There's another side to the express bus coin, and that is that there are plenty of riders who use the system in a reverse commute way. So these are folks who live in the urban core who are using express buses in the reverse direction to access suburban employment. The recommendation at this point would be to increase the express fare from $1.75 to $2, which would put the fare much more in line with the peers, to increase the associated passes accordingly, but also to not change the cost of the Metro Tank monthly pass. This Metro Tank pass represents the bulk of our reverse commute riders. So those are the folks, again, that are accessing the Tank system from the larger Metro system in Cincinnati, and they are transferring to employment in suburban northern Kentucky. When evaluating the Southbank Shuttle, we see that Tank's fare of $1 is higher than the peer median of 50 cents. Ridership on the Southbank Shuttle has increased dramatically. Currently, ridership for calendar 2011 is over 44% higher than it was in 2010. We also know that the Southbank Shuttle provides the shortest trips in the Tank system. The recommendation at this time is to keep the Southbank Shuttle fare at $1. All these recommendations together would result in a 3-tiered or a 3-zoned system at Tank. where we have express fare at $2, local fare at $1.50, and the shuttle at $1. What that means is that we have 3 different distinct brands and 3 different distinct prices for those services. The last thing to consider with respect to our fixed route bus system is transfers. When we think about tanks transfers, we do not charge folks to transfer from one tank route to another. Some of our peers do and some of our peers don't. What we know within tank, we've seen recently that there's some challenge and some abuse of our existing transfer system. We feel that offering a quarter charge for a transfer would limit that abuse and would generate a little bit more revenue for the system. What we do know is that most transfers occur on tank's local bus service. What that means is that any increase in a transfer fee would impact some transit-dependent passengers, and that's a consideration that we have made during this process. Again, at this point, our recommendation would be to add a transfer fee of 25 cents per trip. Moving from the fixed route bus system to tank's door-to-door bus system, we'll begin with the ADA service, or our ramp service for individuals with disabilities. This is a service that is required by the Federal Transit Administration and the Americans with Disabilities Act. We have to provide this service if we provide fixed route bus service. One of the challenges with this service is that it is extremely expensive to provide. The cost to provide a door-to-door trip exceeds $30 per trip, which is more than 5 times what it costs to provide a trip with the big bus. And again, this service has experienced some serious increase in demand over the last 5 to 10 years. In an effort to keep up with those costs, our recommendation at this point is to increase the ramp fare from $1.75 to $2.50. We would also increase the passes accordingly. This fare is still well within the limits set by FTA and ADA. Not only do they regulate the requirement of the service, they also regulate how much you can charge for the fare. But again, at $2.50, it would be well within the limits that FTA and the ADA would allow. Again, this is still a significant increase to some passengers. A monthly pass, for example, for ramp would go from $62 to $88. So again, an increase in cost for our passengers on the ramp system. The second type of door-to-door service that Tank provides is the day tripper, which is our senior service transportation. It is a very limited service that Tank provides. Just to put it in context, it's a service that only operates from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. during the week. The number of trips that are carried on this system is small. It represents less than 6% of our total door-to-door trips, which puts it in much less than 1% of our total trips system-wide. This service is not required by the Federal Transit Administration or the Americans with Disabilities Act. Therefore, when we look at our peers, most of our peers do not provide this type of service. Again, it is just as costly to provide this service as it is our ramp service. It's about $30 a trip. With that in mind, our recommendation is to increase the day tripper fare from $3.25 to $4. This still represents a significant cost savings if someone were to try to access private transportation to make a trip. This is still a community benefit even at $4. Your feedback on this fare increase proposal is very important to us. There are multiple ways that you can make comment. As you can see, there are 3 open meetings that will be held, and you can also reach us via our email address and our telephone hotline. Thank you for your time and consideration.